Welcome to Portugal Makes Sense conferences. This panel will address the topic autonomous driving and connectivity. Connectivity is at the heart of modern life, and thanks to the progress of technology, it is also transforming our driving experience. How will we interact with autonomous cars over the next few decades? And how will driverless vehicles connect to the world around them to guarantee comfort and safety of passengers? Before the discussion, may I have your attention to the opening remarks and why Portugal makes sense for innovation by Francisca Guedes de Oliveira, member of the ICEB board.
So hi, good morning to everybody. Welcome to this last day of the Hannover Messe. We made it so far, so this is a good sign. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about just 5 minutes to introduce our panel and the topic of today. And I mean, by now I'm sure you know why Portugal makes sense. I'm sure you know the advantages of partnership with Portugal. But still, I think that if you have any doubt, any kind of doubt today, you'll be completely sure of why Portugal is the right partner for you. So for me, from everything I heard this week, the most remarkable factor is talent. So talent and talent and talent is actually what differentiate our country and what differentiate a partnership with our country. For, I would say, 25 to 30 years, public policy in Portugal has actually focused on developing, nurturing, growing talent in our workforce. You know the numbers, I'm sure, by now. We're the third country in terms of graduates in STEM areas, seventh in terms of English skills, English proficiency. But if you think of what we've done since, I would say, at least since the democracy started, we have a workforce that combines soft skills like flexibility, creativity, communication skills with a hard, strong technical preparation. That talent combined with, again, smart choices in terms of public policy. For example, we have one of the best, if not the best, tax benefit for R&D in Europe. Those two combine, and also with the strong universities, strong schools, technological centers, and with amazing firms, namely German firms that bet in Portugal, we were able to develop and to have an ecosystem of innovation that blooms, that flourish in Portugal. And you may be a part of this vibrant ecosystem with this innovation and R&D clearly as a main factor. And then we have other factors. We have other attractive points that you've heard throughout the week. We are well equipped with the knowledge and instruments in terms of energy transition, green energy. Our firms are betting strongly on that also, and we do have the experience to do that very efficiently. We are a gateway to the Atlantic, North America, South America, Africa. We bridge with Portuguese-speaking countries in Africa, with Brazil, in Asia. So we have a lot going on for this partnership. Today we have some amazing examples. We have Bosch that has been investing in R&D in our country for the last 6 years, around 200 million euros. Partnerships with universities, with a strong link to our technological ecosystem, and they are on the front line of autonomous driving, so it will be a pleasure to hear from them today. Continental Engineering Services recently decided to come to our country, to my hometown actually, to Porto. We were very happy, very glad with this decision, and we hope to learn a little bit more about this experience. Why the decision of coming to Portugal? Why choosing Portugal? And then we have SEIA, Portuguese, not German, Portuguese Center for Engineering and Service Development, which is an amazing center. They recently had a partnership with RFA. I was there when they signed the contract. I'm an economist, not an engineer, so I don't completely understand what they're doing, but I was amazed, like science fiction type of what they were planning on, or what they were talking about, what the future holds for them. And so, again, proving that we have talent in engineering, we have talent in R&D, in innovation. We are actually one of the top countries to be in this sense. So with no further ado, I'll leave the floor to those that day to day, every day, prove more than facts, figures, numbers, why actually now probably more than ever, Portugal makes a lot of sense. So thank you very much, and let's listen to the panel.
Case studies, some in close collaboration between tech institutions and companies, will now be presented and be part of the debates. We will showcase how partnerships boost innovation, the future of mobility from deep sea to air, and why Portugal makes sense as a competence hub and technological destination. Please welcome Carlos Ribas, the Bosch representative in Portugal, José Furtado, the Business Development Manager as CEIIA, and Jorge Bruno Silva, the local segment head in the business segment of driver assistance and automated driving at Continental Engineering Services. Our moderator, Paul van Rooij, automotive industry expert.
Good morning. So, good morning. Nice to be here. Thank you for all the audience at this early stage of the day, last day of the Hannover Messe. And yeah, what we intend to do here is to showcase what every institution is doing, but especially to highlight what's about partnership in every direction. That means university, other institutions in between themselves, companies in between themselves, and the opportunity of suppliers which are already working with these institutions, and to make aware that there are many opportunities to hook up on this partnership, because today there is no possibility to advance if you don't have strong suppliers and partners. And we will start with Carlos, making a short presentation of what Bosch is doing, and maybe I interrupt with questions in the presentation or at the end, and let's go on. Yeah, Carlos.
Thank you. Once again, it's a pleasure to be here today, second time for me in this stage, and to share what we are doing in Portugal as Bosch. And yes, for Bosch, Portugal makes all the sense. Today, we have around about 6,000 associates in Portugal, in Bosch, running in 3 plants and in Lisbon, so in our headquarters. We have 3 plants coming from the north of Portugal to the south. We have car multimedia, linked to automotive, to the mobility, and with around about 3,500 employees. Then we have our plant really connected with the security systems and communications, around about 1,200 associates. Same number that we have in Aveiro, thermotechnology, known as the Vulcano in the past. And of course in Lisbon we have also some hundreds of colleagues. So the Bosch is in Portugal since more than 100 years. But what happened in the last 10 is something really different. So the way that it realized that do the manufacturing in Portugal, it was not really the solution, and it was not what we wanted to our country. So then, hopefully, the previous government and the actual government decided to invest in the education of our young talents. And today we are getting the profits of that. And this effect, as I already said, so the young people today, the talent of our young students, and the quality of the professional that the university are putting in the market every year is really outstanding when compared to the majority of the countries in the world. But this is a fact. I lived abroad more than 50% of my life, and this is a fact that today the knowledge in these several domains in Portugal is at least compared to the best, and this is no questions. And the knowledge of the basics, it was not enough for us in Portugal. So then we start and we decide to go to the partnerships with the center of competence, mainly with universities. And in Braga, for example, we are developing the autonomous, or participating in the development of autonomous driving, so driverless for the future. And with that, so we create a team with more than 500 engineers, fully dedicated, developing sensors like LiDARs, VMPS, APS, park parts, a bunch of the quantity of sensors that all together in the future, with some tons of software inside, will really allow the autonomous driving. The autonomous driving that 10 years ago, we thought, okay, in 2025 it will be possible to have a full autonomous cars in the streets. Is not possible for sure. And it's foreseen now to 2030. Maybe in 2030, we'll have the level 5 autonomous driving. And this is something that became much more complicated than it was foreseen in the past, because we have one thing that was not foreseen, it was the perception. So and if the car is to be autonomous, the car has to feel as a person. So we are sensors everywhere in our body, we have just sensors, and we are not yet capable to place the same feeling in the sensors in the car. This is something that is not possible yet. And we are doing in our partnerships with the University of Minho and the University of Porto now also, we are creating this environment that will contribute to allow this autonomous driving. And this is something very interesting because automatic driving is already existing. In the highway, the car can go follow the lines, and okay, if we request to surpass the car in front of us, this is already possible. But go to the car and say to the car, bring me home, or take me to the cinema. So this is not possible today, and it will be in the future for sure. And when I go driving my car, I have what I understand I should drive in the certain conditions. But all of us has different feelings. I drive, my wife says, you are driving too fast, the police always catching you, it's a problem, you should be more smooth in doing these kind of things. And my wife drives much more smooth. Then, so when I go to the car autonomous, I have to say to the car, it's me. So you have to drive as it was myself. And this is something that is not existing today. And we are developing this moment huge software that we call perception, in the way that when we arrive, okay, after all the sensors that will be connected together with massive quantities of software, we have this one that you say, okay, it's me that are in the car. So the car will adapt the way of driving to my style, as it was me. And this is something that was not really been discussed in the last years, and it's starting being discussed today. And when my wife will take the car, say, okay, now it's me, or my friend or my son, so now it's me, and the car will drive, the driving condition will be adapted to my style or the style of the person that will be in the steering, or should be in the steering wheel or not, because probably will not exist any more steering wheels in the future. You want to say something?
Yeah, yes, I would say to underline the example, no? The autonomous car, yeah, Lewis Hamilton is entering the car, no? Formula One driver, no? How make the car drive autonomously that he gets not that bored that he never gets in the car again. On the other side, we have our grandpa, no? Which is, I don't know, 75, no? Which probably drives completely different. And I think the perception is exactly this. And this is a huge, huge challenge.
Yes.
No? No?
Yes, it is, and it's something that we are really working on. And we have already some package of software developed that we believe that this will really make the difference in the future. And it was, by the moment, I think it's unique. It's been developed by us in Portugal. And this will really make the difference. And the estimation in nowadays is that each 100,000 kilometers, we have a fatal accident. And with this autonomous driving, it's what we foresee is after each fatal accident will happen each 10 million kilometers. Maybe one sensor will fail, and okay, time to time it will happen for sure, like in airplanes and things like that. But the scale will be in a different dimension, so it's something totally different. And with this driving situation, so we believe that we are one step ahead. And we, Bosch just finished to make a joint venture with CARIAD, so it's one company from the Volkswagen Group, to speed up the process to be possible to implement in all the car brands that belongs to the Volkswagen Group, to be possible to become autonomous as soon as possible. So, and this just started first quarter of this year. So it is just starting, and we have this joint venture, 50% Bosch, 50% CARIAD, Volkswagen, and we think in 27, so something will be possible to start being seen in the market. Not yet level 5, but level 3 plus for sure will be possible.
Carlos, if we see on our slide there, we see topics like suppliers. What about suppliers in Portugal or abroad, which are connected to Bosch partnership? And
yeah, this is also something very interesting. That's why Portugal makes even more sense. Is this possibility that we have to have these close links with academia? And we start years ago with the University of Minho, so the Braga plant with the University of Minho, in different fields. One of them, it was exactly the development of Portuguese suppliers, and we are permanently challenging our suppliers and requesting them to show us disruptive solutions. And yesterday, some of our suppliers already show here some ideas that we developed together. One of them, so the Stella Plus, for example, it was the one that example very interesting. They are developing one process that is just a simple cogwheels, but inside it's a huge technology. So it's a plastic, but it's magnetized. We have the North Pole, South Pole, and you'll be applying the steering angle sensor that is one of the most important safety devices inside the car. And the process of to produce it is very particular because they have to inject plastic on top of permanent magnets, and the specification of the induction field has to be kept. And this is something very critical because normally the temperature disturbs the specification or the performance of the magnets. And this is something that we challenge them, and with a very good results. And soon this solution will be applied in our steering angle sensor. That is a device that will guide or provide information to the SP to actuate the SP, knowing that SP is the second protection device in the car that saves more lives after the seatbelt.
Celoplast is a well-established company in Portugal, no? For sure, for decades meanwhile. Do you have also somehow a program which hooks up or stimulates start-up level of companies, or are you only looking for those who are already well-established with a huge know-how? How does it work in this sense?
No, so we are working with all the partners that can work, that can be add value for Bosch and can be add value for our partners. And startups also is a possibility, and we have some startups working with us. So we are mainly in all the plants, so in Braga, Aveiro, and Var. And the point is where is the ecosystem? So in Braga, we have the Invest Braga with a very interesting ecosystem with the startups that in terms of communication and the developing of the algorithms in different fields, so we are working with them. And in our development program, so the Bosch, known as the Bosch suppliers team, we selected 20 suppliers of components and 20 suppliers of technologies to work together with us to develop new solutions. And it's a fact that today, so in our plants, basically our plants, they are paper-free plants. Almost all the devices are connected inside the plants. And what we are doing in Portugal is very well recognized in the group, worldwide. In all the plants, the performance of the plants are really appreciated, and it's also why Portugal makes sense.
I have the reading, meanwhile, that Bosch is, as you said, an example internally at the Bosch Group. No? And as far as I understood in the previous conversation we had, Bosch in Portugal is working meanwhile like a hub. No? So it's a center of competence. Things are developed, but not necessarily at the end, the product is done in Portugal. No? So, and yeah, what is the importance of this? No?
Yeah, for us, as I said, so in the past, Portugal was just known as a manufacturing country, and it was not really what we wanted, just a low-cost country. Yes, we are a low-cost country, but I'm not happy because we are a low-cost country. We'd like to be known more for the country and culture of the knowledge of in Portugal. People of the country should be known by what we are producing, what we do different, the dedication of our people, the talents, the competence of our people. I think it's really what we want, and we try as much as we can. And due to that, so we in Bosch, we have our center of competence, we have our center of development, and in several areas we are developing and producing what we are developing in Portugal, but also we are developing things that are being produced in other countries. And this for us is the most important, is the competence, the knowledge is in Portugal. That means that our engineers are enough competent to develop the products to be produced in the other countries. And this link with the universities is also something very important for us. And in this moment, mainly Braga, because it's the biggest plant in Portugal, for Bosch in Portugal. Even the other ones are growing, maybe even in proportionally more faster than Braga. But in fact, Braga, we started with the university in a very close and strong cooperation. And we have this, a lot of programs that is really out of the box. PhDs that are being done in our plant. So we have students, the PhD normally is done in the universities. In our case, so we challenge students to do the PhD in our plant, and the thesis is prepared based on our problems or the solution that we want for the future. We started with 6 students in the first year, and after 3 years we had 40. And I say stop because we have no capacity to support more than that. And it's very interesting because part of them we hire at the end and they stay with us, and part of them it's not possible to stay with all of them, but at least they are well trained and well prepared to face the market and to be successful in the market. And the other partnership that we have with the University of Minho, for example, is the DEN Lab. It's probably one of the, if not the most well-equipped lab in Portugal in the 3D domain, for sure one of the best. And this is also everything that is inside this lab belongs to Bosch, but the lab is located inside the University of Minho in Guimarães. And since last year, we allowed the university to use our lab as one discipline for the courses, because we believe this is the future, and Bosch as a foundation, it's our contribution to the society. Then so we have also the Bosch Academy, in some domain of competence that we do not have in our plants. We can request to the university to tailor-made a course to our needs. And this is something very interesting. We have with the University of Minho, we have also with IPCA. In this moment is running 1-2 years program in IPCA. We had already in the past in the IT technologies with the University of Minho. And this is also something very important to this continuous improvement in terms of competence and knowledge. Also, for example, not due to the COVID, not in the last years, but we had in permanent persons from the School of Engineering of the University of Minho in our Braga plant supporting us. Electronic plants, the biggest problem is always contamination. And in our case, so these students, PhDs, professors, I'm permanent in our plants, and they were supporting us to detect the contaminations, where the source of contamination and to avoid it. Also the partnership with not only with the universities, the DTX, the digital transformation, so with some of the biggest companies in Portugal, we are developing the solutions in a digital world to be shared between the big companies. So in this one, for example, Bosch, IKEA, Embraer, so several big companies in Portugal are developing together digital solutions to improve the performance in the country in several domains. And this is something that more and more you can explain. Portugal, okay, is the food, the wine, the beach, fantastic country. The colleagues, German colleagues that come to Portugal, they do not want to leave, they want to stay with us. But we have also this new way of thinking and this new behavior is technology, competence. We know how to do the things. And if the people want to come to Portugal, be welcome. Fourth safest country in the world with all the other advantages. always welcome. We are open to receive them.
It's always the same. Portugal makes sense. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Portugal really makes sense.
Thank you very much, Carlos. So let's go ahead. Oops. No? So I would say now we start with, where is it? Oh, it was next, yes. So, Seiya, let's start. Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, a little bit of Seiya itself, Jose.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for attending this session and for being here. I'll start off talking a little bit about Seiya and what we do and who we are. For those that haven't had the chance to come to our little stand there or to listen to my colleagues during this week. So Seiya is a center of engineering and product development that conceives, develops, and productizes new technologies towards a more sustainable society. We are one of the highest R&D investors in Portugal, and we work by connecting and linking cities, businesses, universities, like Carlos, and as well as governmental institutions and agencies all across Portugal and Europe as well. Mostly in the high-tech sectors of automotive, aeronautics, ocean, and space. So say a little bit about our history. We started almost 20 years ago in the automotive industry, aiming to support the Portuguese suppliers to grow more in value and create more competences so that they could be more competitive in supplying original car manufacturers or that. Portugal does not have an original car manufacturer, so we really lacked a bit of the skills for that. And in that, we went out and really learned from and collaborated with some of the most world-renowned car manufacturers to really gain that knowledge and acquire those skills. But from a very early stage, we defined that we had to be different somehow. So we really focused on niche vehicles, but ultimately zero emissions vehicles. So one of the biggest focus for Seiya is really becoming the front line for providing electric vehicles and zero emissions, and really focus on carbon neutrality. For that, we moved from electric mobility to the creation of mass platforms, mobility as a service platforms. We have a few projects on that. For example, in Mobi Cascais, where we have integrated several parts of the city transportation into a platform. We've done as well, we worked with Uber on an Uber Green project to quantify the CO2 emissions. We showed that at COP20. And then recently we've launched an application, a platform, a sustainability platform, which is called AIR, which is basically a crypto token that rewards the customers for the sustainable behavior of using carbon-free vehicles, whether 2 wheels, 4 wheels, etc. So, with automotive, we've done all this work, and then we moved on to the aeronautics, where we've worked with Leonardo and Embraer in creating several aircrafts, and then again some of the products that we've talked about here this week, from deep sea to space, a lot of competencies that have been developed in those areas. But with this, in regards to this very topic of autonomous driving and connectivity, we have been working on several projects to introduce these autonomous functions in order to create new service and new business models toward carbon neutrality. So not only just for comfort, convenience, and safety, but our main goal is to become more efficient in order to achieve that carbon neutrality that we all been talking about and really being conscious about over the past few years, because obviously it's something that we all have to aspire to. With the 5G technology, we have been able to explore new models of connectivity, linking vehicles, infrastructures, and users. Again, really to become more efficient on the routes, on how we connect the different vehicles in the city, and how we move around our cities and so on. But autonomous driving has not been something new for us. We've been exploring autonomous navigation with other vehicles that we use that we have created, especially the ones in the ocean. With the autonomous surface vehicle and the autonomous underwater vehicles that you probably have seen if you stop by our stand on the video. We already have these vehicles in works and working for several missions. We've been able to explore the deep sea and really enhancing the capacity of these vehicles of becoming super machines to go on several missions, various depths of water, and going for hours and hours and hours of work. So again, exploring this autonomous navigation and these autonomous functions has given us real-world knowledge and real-world capacities to explore this sort of technology into other vehicles. So recently, for example, we're combining all our competencies in automotive, aeronautics, and some of this information that we're getting from these projects with the ocean to launch an advanced air mobility area where we're using drones and unmanned aerial vehicles for emergency applications with several institutions in Portugal to really test out the development of AI and autonomous functions for the uses of these vehicles.
I'm coming back to the statement about this kind of tokens. No? So can you name some partner, city or whatever, who is already interested or working with SEA on this axle? No? That you take your bicycle, and by using your bicycle as a sustainability, you gain tokens, and then maybe you can buy with the tokens on a hamburger. No? It's something like this.
Yes, it's something like that, exactly. I think for now, like what the pilot testing that we've been done with cities in Portugal is mostly focused on exchanging those tokens with, again, services of transportation within that ecosystem. But obviously, our idea is to implement local carbon markets within those municipalities so that again, you can exchange that for goods and services within that city. That's our main goal, and we hopefully are establishing some partnerships with cities in Portugal to really accelerate that sort of, platform. Yeah.
But this is on local basis, no? It's not an approach on national level?
Not yet. Sorry, not yet. No, not yet on a national level. Local basis for now. Obviously, because the idea is to replicate this in a much broader scale. But again, there's still no real legislation or, so we can't really implement something nationally or even internationally. It has to be done locally with municipalities. Obviously, we can do it with a municipality here in Germany or anywhere else in the world, but it really has to be with a municipality. I mean, it becomes like almost like, for example, an example here this week, there's no Uber here. So it becomes something that has to be done locally because I've used Uber in Germany before, just not here in Hanover. So, obviously we have to work with the cities and all the partners and operators within that city to make this a reality. But, in Portugal, we have started with a few cities, and, hopefully our goal is to really go after the 100 cities in Europe that are aiming to become carbon neutral by 2030, and really partner with them to create, platforms for them to incentivize the use of zero emissions vehicles and, change a bit the behavior of how, the end users go about this subject.
Yeah, it's interesting because we are getting more and more conscious about everything what we do on this planet. Unfortunately, more in the sense of damage, no? And everyone is asking himself how to change this. No? It's always a question. It's we look to this and say, yeah, it is like it is. What can we do? No? And I think this kind of approach it has to do something about consciousness, but also something very human. What is my reward? Huh? What is my gain? It's not only about being yeah, inspired or conscious. It's about I gain something, and that might be a key to run after this way. Giuseppe, can you name or make some examples of SEIA in the sense of like Bosch in the Bosch group or international on the level of your area of influence of, in the sense of supplier, partners, and so on? How does this work?
Well, SEI is an association of, in Portugal, and we work with, several companies, well, in Portugal, because obviously it started as an extension to build competencies for those companies to become more and more, skilled to be competitive in today's market. But again, we work with several universities and, other partners, like University of Minho, for example, as well, and international corporations to really getting a good grasp of what we can do better to improve and innovate new technologies.
I would make a small example or story. Bosch is looking for someone to solve problem A, addressed to SEIA, and SEIA says, oh, yes, we have in our network someone who can serve not SEIA, but Bosch. Is this something real?
Yes, we can sure connect to suppliers in Portugal. I mean, it is in our interest to value the Portuguese industry and things that are made in Portugal. So we definitely encourage people to come to Portugal, invest in Portugal, and Portugal makes sense because yes, it is. We do have a lot of innovative centers and we have a lot of good suppliers, and Portugal makes sense because this is sort of the things that we do. We're a small country and we live on partnerships. We live on collaborations. We can't do everything alone. So it is in our best interest to work with the people around us to make our small country more competitive and more in the forefront of these technologies.
Thank you very much. Yes.
I missed one topic extremely important in my intervention. Go ahead. Yeah, and we have partnerships also with SEIA. Yeah. Yes.
That's also written down
here. Yeah, and I missed that since some years in all our Bosch plants we have innovation programs, nicely sponsored by the Portuguese government, namely by the ICEP, of course. And during these times, in the last 10 years, we have been capable to apply for more than 90 patents. Yeah, and for sure, at least one of the patents that have been applied by our plants are being used in one of your cars, for sure. One of them it is. Either the optical bonding, the steering angle sensor, for sure. One of them we have in your cars. And this is coming from these innovation programs. In the last 10 years, we invest more than, considering Braga, Aveiro, and Ovar, more than 400 million euros. And out of them, so we have this more than 90 patents. The majority of them in the last 2 years have been applied in the last 2 years. Only this year, I don't know exactly the other colleagues from Aveiro and Ovar, but Braga already requested additional line. And this is something that's really important for us. For example, Braga plant, 30% of the business that we are generating today in our Braga plant is become from one idea, optical bonding, that born in one of these innovation programs. Out of these 10 years, more than around about 2,000 people, students, PhDs, professors, have been participating in these programs that are really creating value that afterwards, because we do not want to do, I'm sorry, the universities and yes, we don't want to do development to stay in the university. We want to do development to create value to Bosch, to our partners, to the country. And this is really something that the partnership that we are having with the Portuguese entities since a long time that are really helping, and the fact that we are requesting and create these 90 patents, it's pretty much linked also with this support that we are having.
That goes absolutely in line what you said about the competence. No? The center of competence is then very practical about the patents that you have.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
No? So,
and this partnership, so they started University of Minho, Bosch and ICEP, that today we have with OVAR and ICEP, that we have with Aveiro, University of Aveiro and ICEP. All of these partnerships are really bringing the profits and the real value to the country, and of course for us, yeah, the fact. And we are very thankful to the ICEP for all this contribution that is that we want to even continue and improve for the future, in the future, to bring more value to our country. Thank you.
So let's jump to what they name internally CAS, Continental. Hello. Tell us a little bit about the activity of Continental in the sense of autonomous driving and connectivity.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Paul. Okay, so Continental Engineering Service is a recent company in Portugal. We are implemented since 2019, so we are the youngest one here in the panel. And we grew from 0 employees to today 150 employees, and the majority of them is engineers. Okay, we are part of the Continental Group, German company, and we are located in Porto, the north of the country, and today we are supported by more than 2,000 employees from Continental Engineering Service, distributed along 23 locations worldwide. And our customers are in Europe, in China, Japan, and North America. So what we do in Continental Engineering Service? So we are a partner of the industry, of the automotive market, and we are there to solve issues related to the cars, the automotive market. So we develop software engineer, we are a product supply, we have our factories to develop the products that we do, we are a testing partner, and basically also a consulting company. So what we do in terms of autonomous driving and connectivity. So we develop perception sensors. Some of them were already named. So we develop cameras, radars, lidars, ultrasounds. All of these sensors are then equipped in the cars in order to have a perception around the vehicle, to understand if we have a clear road, if we have obstacles in front of us, and this is the basis to achieve autonomous driving. We cannot do that without this perception layer with these sensors installed in the vehicle. In terms of connectivity, it's a common sense that autonomous driving will need connectivity car to car. So a vehicle needs to communicate with other vehicles, with infrastructure, and today we are developing 5G connectivity to the automotive world. Okay, in terms of ADAS cruising and safety functions, so what is this? With these perception sensors, we are developing autonomous driver assistance features that are split into safety and cruising. So safety is when the vehicle needs to brake, needs to alert the driver, and cruising is when the vehicle needs to follow the vehicle in front of us, needs to be kept in the center of the lane, and these features combined together will be the basis for the full autonomous driving, the taxi driver vehicle where no driver will be present in the vehicle. And today, in terms of cybersecurity, connectivity, there is a common sense then that the connection between the vehicle with other vehicle needs to be protected. There is no car supplier that wants to have one of these cars of their fleet that is cyber attacked. This will usually damage the brand, damage the image of the company, and then consequently maybe some business losses. So today we are usually investing on protecting, on cyber protecting our cars, the connectivity of the cars. And in Portugal, in Continental Engineering Service, we are building a competence center of cybersecurity that will protect the next generation of cars. And for that, we also need a methodology. Today, in the automotive world, for software development, we have this common methodology, AutoSAR, and this is essentially for the software development in the automotive world. And today, also in Portugal, we are building this competence center of AutoSAR, and we are getting a lot of people, a lot of engineers trained on this subject, and that's why the proximity to our universities, as it was announced in the beginning, Portugal is one of the third, or it's the third country in Europe with most people with bachelor degrees, with master degrees, and we need to be close to the universities. We need to prepare our engineers because they will be better prepared to work in this domain, in the automotive domain. So proximity to universities, it was one of our key points to choose our location in Porto, nearby universities.
Exactly. This I wanted to ask. How was the process to decide having this service continental in Portugal? Because for sure many countries were interested in this kind of competence, and finally decided was to establish this in Portugal.
Exactly. So there were some countries that were considered to welcome the next office of Continental Engineering Service, and there were multiple options that made us to take the decision to install ourselves in Portugal. And the most important one 4 years ago, roughly 4 years ago, was political stability. All the countries, all the cities that were considered, Portugal and Porto was the one chosen because Portugal could offer an important political stability to the company in terms of laws, in terms of legislation. And today, we can see that political stability is even more important when a company decides to dislocate some business to install in a new country. This is one of the main criteria. But there are others. Besides that, besides the students that we have with master's degrees, with bachelor degrees, so the well-trained students that we have in Portugal, we also have accessibility. So Porto airport is connected, or we can have the direct flights to the majority of the cities in Europe where we have the other office of Continental and Continental Engineering Service. And besides that, I could always say, yeah, the weather is good, the food is good, that also helps. But yeah, those were the main important points that took us to choose Porto and Portugal as the office of Continental Engineering Service.
Considering that the CAS is very recent, as we say, very recent in the sense of initiatives, can one say that there is already a recognition of this decision 4 years ago? And positive, what would be then the outlook for CAS in Portugal?
Okay, that's a good question. So, as I said in the beginning, in 3 full years, we grew from 0 employees to 150 employees today, majority of them engineers. And I believe the decision to install ourselves in Portugal was a good one because the outlook for the next couple of years is massive. So we have the plans to grow in the next 3 years, or we need to hire more engineers in order to reach the 400 people in our office just in Porto. So this shows that the outlook for our company, for our office in Porto, is very good, very strong. Continental and Continental Engineering Service is satisfied with our achievements, what we have been doing in the last 3 years, and we can expect more growth and more projects for Portugal in the next couple of years.
Jorge, do you have also examples like local partnerships, suppliers, institutions, or suppliers, specifically suppliers, which are doing part of a job where then Continental hooks up and continues the software or something like this, or is this not yet mature?
In terms of autonomous driving and connectivity, we are not going that direction. However, we have some partners in terms of institutes, in terms of universities, and also in terms of Industry 4.0. So today, our strategy is to build up these local partners, local companies that we want to work together, but rather focus in other subjects like the Industry 4.0. So that's our partnership in our company. But we are also working with service provider companies that also are providing engineering service to us. Because by the end of the day, Continental Engineering Service is a service company in Portugal.
Very good. And can one say that the development which is worked on is always triggered by an order from a customer, or is Continental also working in the sense, okay, we going ahead and then offering what we developed to the customers, you know? Either pulling or pushing, no?
Okay. I'll say that is a balanced strategy. Of course, we are close to our customers. We want to provide them what they need. So this is customer-driven, the business. We develop the products based on their needs, okay? Because they are also pushing the development forward. But internally, we are also doing research, innovative development in order to offer to our customers what we have developed. So in terms of radars, in terms of cameras, we have several generations. So some of them are already being sold to the customers. Some of them are being in development because the customer needs further advances and further features in those sensors. So I would say it's a mixed balance that we can offer today in terms of products and in terms of software development.
Very good, very good. Some questions in between of you? Either for Carlos and so on?
All doing the same thing, so they're complementing ourselves.
Yes, it is, like it is. Very good. So, we are coming to an end. I'm very glad to have moderated this panel. I would say it is clear, at least I hope that we have achieved the goal to show the ecosystem in Portugal is really a rich ecosystem in sense of partnerships of the whole supply chain, considering the development of autonomous driving and connectivity. For sure, for me, it's clear that these initiatives of all three institutions, companies, are underlining the situation of Portugal makes sense. No? I have no doubt about this. This was a recent decision, and if you go on the other side, very old company in Portugal, starting with simple production, and today more and more development, and even say born by the necessity of an upscale, upgrade of competence and knowledge. No? It's very interesting to see that SEA was founded, as far as I understand, by the need of 40 institutions, companies. No? So this, by starting with this, is already a sign of partnership. No? Very good. No? And yes, at the end, I don't know if we have the possibility of questions of the audience. Yes? No? We don't have it? No? Shaking the head? No? We can, if someone raises the hand, I'm willing to hear. No? So, thank you very much. Concrete examples, how it's possible. I underline, it is possible for everyone to knock at the door of these companies, institutions to say, I have a good idea, I have a complementary idea. No? They are open to hear and judge. No? And then decide and say, okay, let's do this with you, or develop, or take the chance to develop yourself in this direction. No? No doubt about this. And this is very important because it's not only about this institution, Portugal makes sense. It's to create really more and more a reach in ecosystem in this direction. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.